Okay, so we're going to go over Marley's commands and show you how you can stay consistent with him once he goes home. So first, we're going to show you his collar. So this is his slip collar. This is going to slip over Marley's neck, and then we're going to put this tab down to keep it nice and tight on his neck. You should be able to fit like 1 or 2 fingers in there, but that's it, nice and tight. And we want it to be right up at the top of his neck. So this top part here should be right behind his ears, and this bottom part here should be right below his chin, as high as possible. That way it's not pushing on his trachea or anything when we correct him with this. So if we need to give Marley a correction with the slip collar, we're going to say no, and we're going to tug him in the direction that he's supposed to be going. So if he's too far ahead of us in one of his commands, we'll say no, give him a tug. If he's supposed to be sitting or laying down, we'll tug in that direction to correct him, and I'll show you that when we get to those commands as well. And then for his remote collar, to turn the collar on, there's going to be matching red dots here on the remote. There's a small red dot, and then on the collar as well, there's a small red dot. To turn the collar on, we're going to tap these two together until that green light flashes. Now the collar is on. And then to turn the remote on the back of this remote, there's this circular L button in the center, and we're going to press and hold that button until our screen lights up. Now both the remote and the collar are turned on. And if we need to correct Marley with the remote collar, I'm going to pretend for a second that my hand is Marley's neck. And to the side of this remote here, you'll see there's a black S button. That is Marley's correction level. So if we need to correct him with this button, or with the remote collar, we're going to press that button. And if he decides to not listen to one of our commands or to do an unwanted behavior, we're going to say no, press the black S button, and then remind him of what he was supposed to be doing or what we want him to be doing. So Marley's first command is heel. This is loose leash walking on our left hand side. We want Marley's head right next to our leg. We want him paying attention to us and walking at our speed. This should allow us to again walk at our speed and have a nice relaxed arm and a nice relaxed leash, and only tighten the slip collar if we need to correct him, and only use the remote collar if we need to correct him. So he should be walking right next to us, again at our pace, nice and relaxed, paying attention to us. If he gets too far ahead in that heel, we're going to say no, give him a quick tug until he's back in our space, and then remind him heel. Same for the remote collar. If he gets too far ahead of us or goes to the side, he's not paying attention, black S button, we're going to say no, click that button, and remind him that he's supposed to be heeling. So no, button, heel. That's how to correct him for a heel. Again, loose leash walking on our left hand side. You should be right next to our leg, paying attention to us and going at our pace. That way we can have a nice relaxed walk. His next command is sit stay. So we'll ask Marley to sit. If he goes into that sit and we want him to stay there, we're not going to stay because that's one more word that he has to remember. Instead, we're just going to remind him what he's already doing. So if we ask him to go in that sit and we want to walk away to go do something else, maybe put our shoes on or grab a coat before his walk, we're gonna remind him sit before we walk away. So he's in that sit, we'll just remind him sit before we walk away, and then we can go do our own thing. And then we want to come back to Marley to reward and release him. So we'll ask him to sit, he goes into that sit, and then we want to walk away to go put our shoes on. We'll remind him sit before we walk away. Then we're going to come all the way back to Marley, good boy, good sit. We can reward him with a treat or praise and petting, and then we can release him by saying free or heel. If Marley were to get up from that sit stay, same thing as the heel, we're going to say no, press the black S button, and remind him sit. If we want to use the slip collar for that, it's sitting on his neck like this, but it's nice and relaxed. If he gets up from that, we're going to say no, give him a quick tug up, and remind him sit. As soon as he's back in that sit, the collar is nice and relaxed again. So that is his sit stay. Again, you'll ask him to sit and remind him sit to get him to stay in that sit. Then for his down stay, which is his next command, you're going to ask Marley to go into the down. Once he's in that down, same as the sit stay, we're going to remind him down before we walk away. We can go do our own thing, and then we're going to come all the way back to Marley to reward and release. So that is his down stay. Again, you'll ask him to down, remind him down before you walk away, come all the way back to him to reward and release. For the slip collar, if you need to correct him, this is going to be nice and relaxed. He gets up from that down stay and decides that he wants to sit. We're going to say no, give him a quick tug in a downward motion, and remind him down. Once he's back on that down, nice and relaxed collar again. And same for the remote collar. We're going to say no, press the black S button, and remind him down. So that's how to correct Marley for his down stay. His next command is place stay. So unlike the sit stay and the down stay, this is now on an elevated boundary like the bed in the pictures. So you'll send him to place or walk him to place. Then you can reward Marley on the bed. We reward Marley on the bed because then he's more likely to stay on the bed because he has a positive experience on that bed. So we'll reward him on the bed. Then if we want him to stay on the place bed, we'll just remind him place before we walk away. Then you can go cook dinner or watch a movie where he still gets to be a part of everything, but he's not under your feet or on your lap. So you'll send him to place, reward him for being on place. You'll remind him place before you walk away. Then you can go do your own thing. Every once in a while, you might want to throw in a reminder, good place, Marley. Reward him every 15 minutes or so. That way, again, it's still a positive experience for him. So you'll reward him, give him some reminders, and then when you want to release Marley from that place, you'll go all the way back to the place bed. Good place, good boy, reward on the bed. And then you can release him by saying free or heel, again, whatever you wanted him to do next. If he were to get off of the place bed and you have his leash and collar on in the house, he gets off of that place bed, you're going to say no, give him a quick tug to put him back on the bed, remind him place. And then nice and relaxed once he's back on the place bed. Then for the remote collar, you're going to say no, press the black S button, remind him place. Marley's next command is come when called or recall. So you have Marley out in the yard, he went out to go to the bathroom, or he's out playing, just having some time to sniff, and you're ready for him to come back to you. You're going to say come really loud and firm to welcome Marley into your space. Then I like to take a few steps backwards. Then I also like to give him verbal rewards as he's on his way back to us. So, good boy, good job, Marley. Get him excited to come into your space. Once he's back in your space and sitting, you can reward him for this command, and then he's supposed to stay in that sit until you release him by saying free to let him know he's free to go sniff again, or by saying heel, whatever you wanted him to do next. So again, come when called, you'll say come really loud and firm. Then you're going to take a few steps backwards to welcome him into your space, verbally praise him as he's coming back to get him excited to come back into your space. And then once he's back to you and sitting, you can reward him with verbal praise, petting, and treats. Then he's supposed to stay in that sit until you release him by saying free or heel. If you're practicing this with Marley on a super long leash, you're going to say no, give him a quick tug and release back into your space if he decides not to come back to you. And if you're practicing this in a fenced-in area, maybe he's in your backyard and you're ready for him to come back to you, you said come really loud and firm, and he didn't come back to you. He's still more interested in whatever he's sniffing in the yard. You're going to say no, press the black S button, and remind him come. You might have to do it 1 or 2 times to get his attention. Once he has once you have his attention and he's coming back into your space, you can still verbally praise him on his way back. But if he decides to not listen to you or get distracted on his way back, no, black S button, remind him come. And then his last command is leave it. So you drop something on the ground, you don't want Marley to have it, you're going to say leave it. And then if he leaves that, you can reward him with verbal praise, petting, or treats, whatever you have on you or whatever you can do at the time. But if Marley decides to not listen to you when you're practicing with his leash and collar on, if he decides to go towards that, you're going to want to pull him away from it before he gets to that item. So you'll say no, give him a quick tug and release, and remind him leave it. Same with the remote collar. If he decides to go after whatever you dropped on the ground and you say leave it and he's still going towards it, you're going to say no, press the black S button, and remind him leave it. I always want to suggest to practice this with dog-safe foods first. So hot dogs, treats, chicken, his food maybe. things that are safe for him to have, just in case you don't have time to correct him while you're practicing the first couple times. And then once you've practiced it for a while, he'll be prepared and ready for if it's medicine or a pill or anything like that that he's not supposed to have. You can say leave it, and you'll know that he's not going to go towards it. And I'd keep the remote collar on you just in case he were to still try and go towards that. But you'll want to reward Marley from your hand. That way he knows he's doing a good job. Petting, treats, anything that you have. Good boy, good job. But if he doesn't, you want to correct him by saying no, press the button or pull on his leash and remind him to leave it. So those are his commands. Again, heel, sit, stay, down, stay, place, stay, come when called or recall, and leave it. So those are his commands, and those are how to correct him with the remote collar and the slip collar. And now we're going to show you Marley's commands. Car behind you. Heel. Boy. Down. Good boy. Good down. Down. Good boy. Good boy. Good down. Good down. Good boy. Good down. Free. Good boy. Leave it. Good boy. Okay. Okay. Leave it again. Good boy. Leave it. Good boy. Good job. Okay. Good job. Wanna do one more? One more, Marley. Good boy. Good job. Leave it. Good boy. Good. Leave it. Okay. Okay. Good boy. Good job, Marley. Good job. Free. Boy, free. Place. Good boy. Good job. Place. Place, Marley. Good job. Good boy, Marley. Good place. Free. Good job, Marley. Good boy. Okay, so now that we've gone over and shown you Marley's commands, we're going to go over his collars more in depth. So for the slip collar, again, you want this as high as you can get it on his neck, just right below his ears and right below his chin. And then you're going to use this tab to slide it down and help keep the collar in place and make it so that he can't slide out of his collar. So you want this nice and firm. You should be able to fit 1 or 2 fingers underneath it, but it doesn't move around too much. It might slide down every once in a while if you've had to correct him and he's kind of pulled into it a little bit. So you would just grab his skin with one hand and the collar with the other and pull it back up to the top and pull it tight again. But if Marley needs any sort of correction with this, you're going to say no, give him a quick tug in the direction that's needed, and then once he's in that command and you've reminded him what command he's doing, maybe he gets up from down side and you say no, you pull him back into that down, down. Then once he's back into that down, you want to make sure that this is nice and relaxed again, because if Marley is doing the right thing, we want to make sure that there's no pressure on the collar. That way he understands that he's doing the right thing. So again, nice and relaxed when he's doing the right thing. Only apply pressure when you need to correct him with the slip collar. Then for his remote collar, you'll see every couple seconds this is flashing a green light. That's showing you that the collar is on and charged. And if you see that red light flash, that means that you turn the collar off. So we'll turn it back on. And the green light, now it'll flash green every couple seconds to let you know that it's on and charged. If it flashes yellow or red, that just means it needs to put it on the charger for a couple hours. It usually stays charged for 10 to 12 hours for 2 days. And then at the end of that second day, you should probably put it on the charger for a couple hours to charge it back up. Then on the back of this remote collar, there's that L button in the center. To turn the remote collar off, you're going to press and hold that until your screen goes dark. That's the black L button in the center. And then to turn the remote on, you're going to press and hold that again until your screen lights up. Once your screen is lighting up, that means that the remote is on, and green light flashing means that your collar is on. Then on the back of that remote, the L button that we press and hold to turn the remote on and off, if we just tap it, it turns the flashlight feature on. So I like to make sure when I put this on Marley that the flashing light is facing upwards towards his chin, towards his face. That way, if you let him out at night and you want to use the flashlight feature, it's facing upward and you can see it. So again, flashlight feature, tap it once and the flashlight will just flash every couple seconds. But if you tap that L button twice, the light will stay on constantly, and tap it a third time to turn the light off. Again, press and hold to turn the remote on and off, tap it to turn the flashlight on and off. So that is the L button on the back. Next to that L button is a super small M/C button. That changes Marley's collar from momentary to continuous. He's on momentary right now and he shouldn't need that changed back to continuous, so you won't need to press that button at all. Then on the side here is that black S button. That's again Marley's correction level, so that is level 25. That's what you'll say. That's what you'll correct him with when you say no, give him a correction and remind him what he's supposed to be doing. But then if for some reason Marley gets loose and he starts running towards the road and maybe there's a car, so you really need his attention, you really need him to come back to you, and you said no, you've pressed the black S button and you've said come, and he's just way too focused on whatever's in the road or whatever is going on across the street, you're going to say no, and then you're going to press the red S button to get his attention. What this does is you'll see black S button is 25. Excuse me. So when I press the red S button, that's going to change his level to 50. Again, you'll say no, press the red S button until you have his attention, and then you can reward him for coming back towards you. But that is his boost feature or emergency feature, so he's running towards the road or running to cross the road and there's cars. You really need his attention. No, red S button to get his attention, and then reward him when he's back to you. But again, only use that in emergency situations like that or when it's completely necessary. And then on the other side of this remote, so black S button and red S button are on one side. On the opposite side of this remote, you'll see the black T button. This is the vibrate feature. You can hear on the box that vibrates the collar. I have not used this on Marley, but if he's been doing really good for you and he does something that may need a correction if he continues to do it, but it just deserves a warning right now, you can use the black T button or vibrate feature to give him that warning. So that is the vibrate feature, again, the black T button. Then on the top of this remote here, you'll see this dial. If I turn it right now, it is not changing that number. That number is staying at 25. If I wanted to change that number to a different level, so if Marley is at home and you think 25 is too much, maybe he's flinching a bit at it or jumping, and there's not a lot of distractions at home, so maybe he needs a lower level, we're going to show you how to change that to a lower level. And then if he's out in public, maybe there's way too many distractions and he's just way focused on everything else but you, maybe you need to turn it up to 30. That way you can get his attention easier without having to overuse any of the collars. So to change that, you're going to press and hold this dial down until our light flashes. It's not flashed. You'll see how easily that changed to a different number. So we'll put it back down to 25. And then if, again, you get home and 25 you feel like is too much for Marley, you're going to turn it down and try 20. If you have him at home and you decide to take him out, maybe to a park or somewhere outside where there's a lot of other distractions and 25 just doesn't seem like it's enough, then you can try turning it up to 30. But we're going to put him back down at 25 because that's his level currently. And to lock that back in at 25, we're going to press and hold the dial down until it flashes. And now that is locked back in place, we want to make sure that whatever level we want Marley at, we have that dial locked so that it doesn't change the level. Because you saw when I unlocked it how quickly it jumped to a different number. We don't want to accidentally hit it with our hand or in our pocket and change it to a level that either is too much for him or that he can't feel at all. So that's how to change the levels on the remote collar. And you'll see on the back here, there's the charging port on the remote. And underneath the collar here is another charging port. You can charge both the remote and the collar at the same time. Again, it usually lasts for 2 days, leaving the collar on him for 10 to 12 hours per day. So you get up in the morning, you put it on him, he has it on throughout the day, and then you go to put him up at night. You can take it off of him, let him not wear it overnight, and then you can put it on him the next day. 2 days like that, and it should probably need charged by the end of the second day. Then on the collar here, you'll see these two prongs. These are what make contact with Marley's skin to give him that muscle stimulation to correct him and communicate with him. So in the box here, we have some longer prongs. I don't know that he needs this. He's been feeling it fine with this. But if his coat ever gets a little bit thicker and you just don't seem like he's feeling it very well, you can always try using the longer prongs. And in this bag here is the little tool, screwdriver type thing that you would use to unscrew and screw those back on. Then in here we also have the charger. Again, you can charge both the remote and the collar at the same time. And we also have the original strap that the collar came on. It's just this buckle here. And then I've added the quick release snap. That way it's easier and quicker to get on Marley. And then under all of that in the box is the instruction manual that you can use if you want to read about the collar more in depth. The collar is waterproof, so Marley can go swimming with it on. You just want to make sure to take it off and dry him off really well after he gets out of the water to make sure that he doesn't get any sores from too much bacteria building up under his collar. And then lastly, on the back of this remote is a number and email to contact for the 2-year warranty that we've got on the collar for him. So those are his remote collar and his slip collar and his commands. You want to make sure that when Marley does your commands and listens to you, does wanted behaviors, he's presenting calm behaviors, different things like that that we want him to be doing, that we're rewarding him. If you don't have treats on you, use verbal praise and petting, but we want to make sure to pay Marley for what he's doing and build that reward history with him. That way he's more likely to do it in the future. And then if he does an unwanted behavior, we also have to be fair with him and correct him if he does an unwanted behavior. That way he's less likely to do those in the future. Marley knows all of his commands, but it's up to you to stay consistent with him at home and keep practicing with him. It takes 4 to 6 weeks for a dog to learn a behavior, so he's been here for 4 weeks, he learned the behaviors, but now it takes 4 to 6 months or 500 repetitions for this to become long-term memory for Marley. So we want to make sure that we're practicing with him, keeping up with his commands. That way he still knows what they are and knows that he has to be doing them. Again, stay consistent with him, reward him when he deserves it, and correct him when he deserves it as well. But make sure to be consistent with him and have fun.